Alright, today I'm going to show you how to change the alternator on a 2007 Honda Accord SE Special Edition. It should be the same for multiple models, multiple years, but this is just a particular car that I have. First thing you want to do, disconnect the positive on the battery. It's always good to do that when you're messing around with anything electrical on your vehicle. Next thing you want to do is find your alternator. Here's the alternator right here. I don't know if you can see it. You're going to have a green plug. There you go. Should be able to see that a little better. You're going to have this green plug right here. And there's also another wire connected to it right there. But you're only going to be able to get that off. You're only going to be able to take this one off when you remove the alternator. Alternator has 3 bolts in it. One, and there's 2 more right underneath it. I guess you can see that was one, and there's another one. All 3 of them are 12 millimeter in your metric size. And you come over here, you have your tensioner. Your belt tensioner is going to be right here, and that takes a 14 millimeter. So first things first, let's go ahead and get the tension off the alternator. Alright, as you can see, it's not enough space to get your socket on the tensioner. This motor mount right there is going to be preventing you from getting a socket in there, or at least it was preventing me from getting one in there. So in order to keep from removing that whole motor mount, what I'm going to do is just improvise with 2 wrenches, using 1 wrench to apply the pressure I need on this nut right here, and using the second wrench as leverage. I'll show you and demonstrate that here in just a second. Alright, this is what it's going to look like. As you can see, I have the wrench attached to the pulley, or the tensioner rather, and I have the open end of the wrench just sticking out. And what you want to do is get another wrench, and you see that little angle that's on the wrench itself. You want to put that angle in like that, okay? And what that allows you to do is create your leverage that you're going to need to get that tension off of there. Be careful when you're doing this. It has been known to slip. This may not be the best way, but this is the way that I'm doing it. Alright, I've devised another way of releasing the tension from the tensioner, and that's using that same wrench and using the cheetah bar. This is just your standard Craftsman's cheetah bar. Place that inside of the wrench, like so, and you'll be able to apply enough pressure. Should be able to apply enough pressure to get the belt loosened up. Sorry about that last one. It's a little hard to do this and hold the camera at the same time. After further looking at this, I'm not sure if removing the belt is going to be the best thing to do at this time. I think we may want to go ahead and remove the bolts that are on the alternator itself, and that way I can maneuver the belt as needed while getting it out, and that way still keeping it on all the pulleys and everything that it needs to stay on without having to rerun that serpentine belt. So let's try taking off the alternator screws before we release the tension on the belt. Alright, once you get the screws off, those are the 3 screws. The first one, the long one, is the top screw, and the second two are the bottom two screws. Now you want to apply a little bit of tension to the belt, pulling it back towards you, and that releases the tension off the alternator. Now you just kind of got to wiggle it out of there. I'm gonna have to put the camera down while I do my finagling to get this out of here, but for the most part these are just rubber hoses that you can just kind of push out of your way to accomplish your goal here. So let me try to do that right now. Alright, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I released the tension on the belt and got the alternator right here where I'm pointing to with this wrench out of the circuit with this serpentine belt, and then I just applied the tension back and just let this belt rest over the top just like it's doing here, and that should hold it in place so I won't have to mess with that whole serpentine belt when I get ready to put everything back on. Now it's just a matter of getting this alternator out, and like I say, it just really takes wiggling around. While I got this right here, got it off, go ahead and remove this nut. That looks like about a 10 millimeter. So let me try that and get that off, and I'll continue the video. Alright, got the nut loose, and it was 10 millimeter. Be very careful with this. Don't drop it. I'm going to sit it up here beside the bolts so I won't lose it. Go ahead and pop that off. You also got a little clip right there that's holding these wires in. You can do one of two things here. You can pop that up to release the wire. I can't do it with one hand. Just clip right here. I don't know if that made it better or worse. But this clip right here, you can look at it, it has another little tab that you can pull up. If you pull up on it, it'll release this band so that you can get the wires out, or you can go ahead and stick a screwdriver in between the plastic and the metal. The screwdriver in between the plastic and the metal and pry it out. I'm going to put the camera down and do my first option that I told you about. And as for removing the alternator, you just kind of finagle it out of here the best way you can. It's not that hard. You'll be able to figure it out. And that's it. I'll be back with you. Alright, as you can see, got everything removed. This is the little tab I was talking about. It pushes down through there just like a zip tie, but you can release it with this little bitty small tab right there. Just pull it up with your nail and push it through with your other fingernail, and for the most part that's it. Now off to get it swapped out. Okay, just got the new alternator back from O'Reilly, special order. I don't know if you can see the part number here. 13980B was the part number. Now let's go ahead and put her back in. As stated before, I said just remove the plastic, I guess, wire holder out of here. But what you have to do is remove this whole bracket off of your old alternator to place it on your new alternator. So if you're taking it to exchange it out, make sure you get that piece off of it, or you're not going to have a wire holder for your new alternator. Alright, got the alternator in place. Now I just got to locate the bolt holes, bolt everything back up. You have to connect your power wires, power and ground wires, before you bolt it up, because if not, then you won't be able to get to it. And by that I mean these wires right here. You won't be able to get to it once you have the alternator bolted up. So you have to take them off and bolt them up once you remove your bolts from your alternator itself. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bolt everything up, and then I'm going to slip my belt back over it by using the tensioner with the previously described method that I showed you earlier. Alright, I got me a camera holder, so I'm going to try to put this belt back on the alternator. I got everything bolted up, so let's see how this goes. Loosening up the tension. Make sure you keep it in all the grooves.
Daddy.
Alright, got the belt on. All my connections are made. Make sure your serpentine belt goes within the grooves that's on the pulleys. If not, you could potentially shred your belt or damage your belt in any other kind of way, and don't want that happening going down the road. So always make sure that they're in their correct position in the grooves. Everything be good to go. Alright, that's it. And that concludes my video. 2007 Honda Accord 4-cylinder alternator install. Hope this helps someone. Alright, everything started up. Belt looks good and in line. Everything's in the grooves like it's supposed to be. All my connections are made. You want to make sure that's done before you crank up the vehicle. Actually, before you hook up your battery, you want to make sure that's done. Don't forget to put the positive cable back on. There you have it. Now it's time for the road test, and after the road test, I will then put a voltmeter on the battery to make sure it's still holding its volts, and if it's still holding its volts, then new alternator did the trick.